I made my toddler another cat's costume. So either you have a toddler or know a toddler who wants to become a Jellicle cat, or you just like cats, which, hi, I'm here to help you. Because I've done it twice. They were both for Halloween because my son is too young to know what he wants to be for Halloween. That'll probably change this coming Halloween. But for his first two, I got to pick. So he was Mistopheles at not even a year old, and then at a little more than a year and a half old, he was Monkey Strap. This is the costume I'm going to show you how to make today. You are going to need a onesie, footed or not, bodysuit, long sleeves, long pants. You will need that in the color that the base character's unitard is colored. And if you forget like I did, you can get some fabric dye to amend that. You'll need some organza fabric. And then you're going to need fabric paint and a method to paint the onesie. I chose the bottle method. Then you are going to need yarn to make the tail and perhaps the arm and leg warmers. You also need a way to attach the tail to the onesie. I do not recommend using a tail belt. Little belts around little bodies can be very uncomfortable. So I used a safety pin, specifically those for cloth diapering, to pin it to the back of the onesie. You'll need some fabric for the wig, hat. I used fleece. Also probably need some sewn Velcro, but if you have your own pattern for a hat, use whatever that pattern says to do. Little hood hat. And then some Kanekalon fake hair fiber to make the little wig. Then, you know, basic tools like a sewing machine or needle and thread. If you don't have a sewing machine, I'm sure you can hand sew everything. You'll need a glue gun, hot glue gun for the wig, and like fabric scissors. First off, you will need to dye your bodysuit if you forgot to buy a gray one and you're being Monkey Strap, so that's a thing. Don't make that mistake. Buy the color that you need, but if they don't have one, if it's not out there, then get a white one and dye it. It's 100% cotton, so I wasn't too worried, and it turned out pretty good. Then to paint, I don't have a child size mannequin to use. A lot of cats costumers have mannequins they use to paint the unitards, but not everyone. I've never had one. So the method I used was one that I've used in the past, where you put tin foil inside the arms and legs and pretty much all throughout the inside, just so that you're not painting two pieces of fabric together. I had this cork board that I was planning to pin the bodysuit to so that I could stretch it out, because that's what you would do, and that's what I've done in the past with an adult-sized unitard. But because the bodysuit isn't as stretchy as a unitard would be, it didn't really need or could be stretched much more than just laying it out flat. So I abandoned that method and kind of just went for stretching it out with my hands as I was painting. And I just looked up a reference photo from the 98 video and kind of freestyled it a bit as well. You don't have to be perfect. Do what you think looks good. So this one has a zipper in the front. And you can see I painted the collar just like directly onto the onesie. The first one I did was buttons. So, and again, like I didn't do the fuzzies on Mistopheles like you would normally have all on the chest. And I just painted on the little bow tie area. But yeah. Next, you want to heat set the paint into the unitard. I haven't washed this, honestly. We didn't do anything for Halloween. We just kind of took photos and played in his room for a while. So that if you're going to wash this, and you're going to want to wash the bodysuit before you paint it or dye it, but that's kind of a given. You do that with any new clothes you buy anyways. To heat set, I just put it on like the highest setting, I believe, on the iron, used a tea towel over it, and just kind of like leave the iron there for a little bit at a time just to really heat set it. I've yet to test whether or not it will be good in the wash because I've yet to wash it. Okay. So fluffy time. I used organza fabric. You can use yarn. You can use different types of fabric. Like I said, it's kind of up to you. I just tied them in little tiny strips and just with a knot in the middle. And then I sewed that knot on to the parts where I wanted the fluffies. And I also did the method where I didn't like cut every thread after each one. I just kind of moved it and then cut all the threads later that connected them. So they look, there's not too many of them, just like a few on the shoulders. This one is not a footy one, but his Mistopheles one is, and that was kind of cute because I painted little paws on the feet. But yeah, he doesn't have like dance shoes or anything. I think he was just barefoot when he wore this, but he might have had black socks on. I don't know. Then we make a tail, and tail is pretty much just the method you'd use to make an adult tail. There's different tail methods. There's really fluffy tails. There's the more wrapped tail. That's kind of what I've been doing just because I find that they fall apart less easily, or there's less like yarn everywhere. I like the way they look as well. What I did was I measured out some yarn twice the length that I wanted it to end up being, and pretty much you do like a loose braid of a bunch of the yarn. And don't like wrap it around your doorknob like that because then you can't take it off. So you want to attach it to this first. And then you just wrap yarn around it. Various types. Got some eyelashy yarn and some, some like really fluffy yarn. And you can fray it too. That's something I did. I frayed some of the ends to give it a more fluffy look. And then there's the arm and leg warmers. So that, again, you kind of just make it like you're making it for an adult, but just size it down. Here are his Mistopheles leg warmers. And I did, I think it's like knit purl, 2 purl for the top and the bottom. Like, I don't know if you can see that as well. But yeah, I knitted them flat and then stitched it up the side. They don't need to look perfect. Because if you make them long, they'll scrunch up. Here's one of the monkey strap warmers. I did these little pom-poms as an afterthought because I remembered he has those in the video. And then this bit is just stitching in some extra stripes. I don't know if you can see better on the Mistopheles of how they look like. They kind of create these little diamond shapes because you keep it because when you do them, use the purl side out versus the knit side. Normally, if you have like a sweater or something, you usually see the knit side out, but for warmers, you have the purl side out because that's pretty. It has more texture that way, and it looks less like it's a sweater, I think. But yeah, so these are done in after the fact. Like here's the little spot in one of the Mistopheles warmers that I kind of did. And then the last bit is the wig, or the hat. The first one I made him, before he was even a year old, I knitted this little hood, just like a little square hood. And then I don't know how much I love this because it didn't really keep its shape very well, but I put little pom-poms on the edge, like where his face is. And then I crocheted these little ears. I like literally learned crocheting to do this, and I don't remember how to do it. And since making these, the only thing I've ever crocheted. But I crocheted these little ears, and then put on these little white tips to the end, and it's cute. Not the best. Probably would do it differently if I were to do it again. And I did do it again, and I did do it differently. So for monkey strap, it looks like this. So first I made this hood. Now I found a free pattern online, and if you want it, let me know. But it is made of fleece, and there's a little Velcro at the bottom. And then I used Kanekalon. It's messy. It's real messy. But what I did was I did it as if I was going to do a full wig, but just did one row. Just one row. Little ears. Hot glue. That's how to make a toddler Jellicle costume. Well, I hope that was helpful. If you make a toddler a Jellicle costume after watching my video, I would love to see it. I love creating and I love making costumes, but I think for the foreseeable future, as far as cats goes, I'm gonna be commissioning from other people for my looks, but for my kids' looks, I will make them. That's pretty much the extent of my ability and time at this point. But I will let you know when I make his third one. Maybe this time around he'll pick the character himself. That would be fun. RIP me if he picks McCavity or Tiger though. Thank you so much for subscribing. I also have a Patreon. I do monthly one take videos there. And I have some interesting things planned for this year on my Patreon that I'm really excited about. It's gonna be really cool. So thank you so much for your support in whatever ways you can. And meow, 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 meow.